Good day, Grade 8 learners, and welcome back to Thuma Mina Teaching. You are tuned into your first lesson of Term 3, where we are focusing on the economics and entrepreneurship part of the subject. Now, can you believe it, Grade 8 learners? We are in Term 3, so we are halfway through the year. Now, please remember, we are dealing with economics and entrepreneurship. But if you haven't looked at the financial literacy part, please make sure you do that as soon as possible. In this term, we will be focusing on two big topics. That's mainly business ownership forms and markets. Now, these are two big topics, so we'll cover them in more than one lesson. In the first three lessons, we'll be focusing on different business ownership forms. Now, this will form the foundation of business studies. And so if you're wanting to take this in grade 10, 11, and 12, make sure that you understand this topic. In this first lesson, we'll be focusing on sole traders and partnerships. In the second lesson, we'll be looking at companies. And in the third lesson, we'll be focusing on the different forms of businesses and how they impact sustainability in employment and natural resources. I don't know about you, grade 8 learners, but I am ready to go. So, loosen your arms and your legs and let us go. Every entrepreneur who wants to open up their own business has to choose a specific business form and legally register. We can register a company through the CIPC, that is the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission. Let's go back in time a bit. In 2008, the government adjusted the legislation when it comes to business forms. For example, closed corporations can no longer be established since 2008. Now I know, grade 8 learners, some of you might say, but sir, I saw a business name with a CC at the end of it. Now that's fine, because any business that has been registered at a CC before 2008 may continue to do so. But any business that tries to register after 2008 may not form as a CC. There has been a lot of changes with legislation when it comes to companies. So as an entrepreneur, it is very important to do research on the advantages and the disadvantages when it comes to the different business forms. This will ensure that you choose the right one that suits your needs best. In grade 8, you will learn about 4 forms of business ownership. However, when you do take business studies from grade 10, you will learn about all the other forms of business ownership. Grade 8 learners, before we start with business ownership forms, it is important that we understand the different terms first. These will allow us to understand the different characteristics of the business forms. Now, the first word we'll be looking at is liability. Now, when we speak about liability, we have to understand there are 2 types of liability: unlimited liability and limited liability. But liability speaks about the repayment of the owner's debts. When it comes to limited liability, it means that the owner will only lose the money that he or she invested in the business. However, under unlimited liability, the owners, when they are in bankruptcy, have to pay everything, including their personal belongings. That includes their house, their car, and any other personal belongings to repay the debt. The second term is continuity. This refers to the continued existence of the business if one of the owners leave due to retirement or they pass away. The last term we'll be looking at is legal entity. This refers to the business or owner as a legal party. In other words, the person or institution that is held legally responsible or can be prosecuted if something goes wrong. Okay, before we move on, let's see if you can recall these 3 important terms. So what I'll do is put each word on the screen and let's see if you can recall it for yourself. Let's go in 3, 2, 1, let's go. So now that we are settled with the terms, let's start with the most simple business form. That is the sole trader or sole proprietor. Now, grade 8 learners, do we remember Brenda? Now, Brenda opened up our own business, Bake at Brenda, as a sole trader. Let's learn more about this business and its characteristics. Okay, so I'm sure you can guess how many owners there are in a sole trader, right? Now, if you do, put your hand up in class and let your teachers know in 3, 2, 1. It's easy, right? It's one person. Sole gives it away. The biggest advantage of a sole trader is the fact that the owner can manage the business on his or her own, and therefore make all the decisions themselves. In this way, decision-making can take place very quickly. It also means that the owner is solely responsible for raising capital and other assets for the business. Certainly, the biggest advantage of a sole trader is the fact that the owner receives all the profits, but also has unlimited liability for their debts. So if the business makes a loss and incurs debts, the owner himself is responsible for repaying that debt. Grade 8s, do you realize that if Brenda borrows money from the bank and is unable to repay her debt, then the bank is also able to take her personal belongings to make the repayment? Now, this is a very sad situation. So, another characteristic of a sole trader is that the owner bears all the risk. Now, grade 8s, this is why it was such a big decision for Brenda to choose this business ownership form. She had taken all of her savings and had to risk it to open up this business. But luckily, Brenda's business is now a huge success. Furthermore, the owner of a sole trader pays income tax in his or her own personal capacity. Finally, it is important to know that a sole trader has limited continuity. So if the owner of the business passes away or retires, the business can no longer exist. Okay, grade 8 learners, to ensure you remember all the characteristics of a sole trader, I want you to pause this video, write down all the characteristics you remember, and after the timer, we will produce a table with all the important words to ensure you remember the characteristics of a sole trader. Alright, grade 8 learners, I'm sure you did well on this exercise. But to ensure that you have a good copy of this table, please hit the link below and download your own copy for your own personal use. Now, grade 8 learners, let's move over to the second form of business ownership, partnerships. A partnership is a business form that has a minimum of 2 owners and an unlimited maximum. We call these co-owners partners. Partnerships are a business form that is very popular among professional people, such as doctors, lawyers, and architects. Have you seen some of these? Dr. James and Yanchis, or Daniels, Holland and Moses Law Firm. Many entrepreneurs form partnerships when they have limited sources of capital and then can use more than one person's capital to start the business. There is also more knowledge and other assets that can contribute to the success of the business. However, it is not always essential that all partners are directly involved in the day-to-day decisions of the business. Sometimes, a specific partner only wants to contribute capital, but may not be so intensely involved. And in other cases, partners want to be a part of the decision-making process. This can take some time and can be difficult, and in some cases lead to conflict. Although a verbal agreement is valid, I would recommend a partnership agreement, which is a written contract that outlines the partnership's agreement. Each partner also pays income tax in their own personal capacity. Each partner is collectively and individually liable for debts. And therefore, just like in a sole trader, there is unlimited liability for debts. And the partners can lose their private property if the business goes bankrupt. Now, grade 8 learners, this is why it's important to choose the correct partners to go in business with. Now, imagine one of your partners are the reasons as to why the business goes bankrupt. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't be particularly happy about that. Furthermore, there is limited continuity. If one of the partners passes away or retires, the partnership will dissolve and the business can no longer exist. Just with the sole trader exercise we did, let's do the same exercise for partnerships. So pause this video, record all the characteristics of your partnership, and then afterwards, we will come up with a table that has all the answers. So pause this video and let's go in 3, 2, 1. Now we have come to the end of our lesson. Thank you so much, grade 8 learners. If there's still things you're unsure about, remember you can watch this video again until you are sure about each topic. Now remember, scan the QR code to do your self-assessment, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Ciao!